Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the fifth video in this series of Vinland Saga read-through videos, where I'm reading through Vinland Saga for the first time, and I am joined by Jarkey Bacon.
Hey, I'm back.
Yes, so today in this video we're going to be talking about English Book 5, which is Japanese volumes 9 and 10, which covers chapters 57 to 71. And it's just covering the part of the first arc after the prologue, which is all new stuff. So I don't know anything pretty much, and I'm very excited to get through this.
It's a big chunk of book.
Very big book. It is a big book.
I think it's the biggest book. Looking at my shelf, it looks like the thickest.
I actually have a question already though.
We're getting off the rails already.
I know, it's crazy. But is this publishing monthly now, or is it still weekly? Do you have any idea?
Oh no, yeah, definitely monthly. So
Okay.
so it's been published monthly since I think chapter 17. So after volume 2
Okay.
of book 1. Yeah.
Alright.
Book, like the first arc, if you look at the number of pages, it's quite sporadic. Like we had that one that was only 10 pages long.
Yeah.
But hang on. Now I've got to I need to send you this Vinland Saga hiatus chart.
Yes.
I made one of these, I posted it. This is what I love. You can search up stuff on Google and it'll come up, oh sorry. I'm still poorly.
Terrible.
Like last time I was listening to it, and so I'm talking, and then like I want to breathe. I'm breathing my nose, and then my nose just get clogged up, and I was like, it happens all the time.
Goodness. Hey, well, that was only like 4 days ago or something. Hasn't been that long.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. We're recording this quicker because Ari. Hopefully, that's a sign that Ari is enjoying it more. Anyway, as you can see, it was in Weekly Shonen magazine. It was a shonen. Yucky. And then it became grown-up big boy seinen manga on chapter 17. I remembered correctly. Nice.
Perfect.
But even when it was weekly, it was pretty sporadic. So yeah.
All right, let's get back on track. So we're talking about book 5. The events that happened are that we get Thorfinn and Einar working on Ketil's farm. We meet a bunch of characters, which I've listed here. So we meet Ketil's sons Olmar and Thorgil. We meet Ketil's dad Sverkel.
Yeah,
we meet.
I say Sverkel, but Sverkel.
That's what I'm going with.
Last time, shoutouts to my boy Ashel. I think that's how you say your name. He is a Norwegian fella, if I recall correctly, and he was sending me different like ways to pronounce. So like I was saying Sven, but it's meant to be something like Svein. That's how you meant to say it, or something like that. Because but he also said he liked your pronunciation of Ashklad, or however.
I love it. Thank you.
So you got good points. So maybe he'll correct me this time.
So I'll just stick with all of my amazing pronunciations going forward.
Yes,
Perfect.
Yes, you are correct. You know the Old Norse better than I do, for sure.
Yep. So Ketil's dad's Sverkel. Yeah, perfect, right? All right.
Yeah, amazing. Perfect.
We also meet the guests, Fox, Badger, and Snake, and we meet a former slave called okay, this one I don't know. Pater? This is something I'm not sure
Pater.
About. Pater, okay.
Yes. It's only one T, right? So
yeah, Pater. Okay. We meet them, and obviously Arnheid. I didn't actually write that one down.
I go Arnheid.
Arnheid. I like that better.
But you could go Arnheid. Did I get Arnheid from Carl? Carl doesn't know.
Oh no, okay, I'm going with Arnheid.
But he's like he's like my Pokemon anime. You know, like when it comes to hearing these names said out loud for the first time, I'm like just like, though he does pronounce another character later on, which I don't pronounce it. But Arnheid, like I kind of take out the H. I don't know if that's how.
It sounds like
the fans translated it earlier as Arneus, as well. I've never heard any of these names before, but Arnheid,
yep,
Arnheid.
Okay, we also spend 2 chapters catching up with Canute, which is really interesting. We get Ketil dealing with 2 thieving kids, and at the end of the book, we get Thorfinn confronting his recurring nightmare and then dedicating himself to never harming another person ever again, which is a very interesting development. So, in terms of overall thoughts, I thought this was great stuff. Like, this is very good. I like this arc a lot.
Dude, you had me on the ropes that you're like, this stuff, it was...
No. It is really great. Like, when I was going through it, like, initially I felt like I wasn't going to write many notes, but I ended up writing a lot. Like, and not a...
But you said, like, the more you enjoy, the less notes you do write. So I'm
yeah,
not
and
sure,
well,
man.
that is true. But the way, I guess the thing is that the way I would read it this time is that I'd read a chapter and then go back and like write the notes afterwards, which is not what I was doing before. So like I would basically blast through a chapter and then like go back and like look at it in detail. So I think that's a better way of doing it this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was good. That's my first thing. I liked how it was a very essentially what happens in this book is just it's a very slow journey for Thorfinn finding a new direction in life. And I like it. I just like how slow it is, and it's not rushed or anything. There's a lot of like visual metaphors to do with the farming, which I really like. Like it's just good. I don't know, it's peaceful, kind of. I should also say, I guess, that the plot didn't go exactly like at all what I was expecting. But like thematically, it was kind of like somewhat what I was expecting, I guess.
There's not a lot of, I guess, plot in this part of. In the next, things heat up in the next book, of course.
Yeah, this
one's very character focused.
I used to see it. It was a lot slower than I was expecting, but I really appreciated the slowness. Like it felt like I believed Thorfinn's journey a lot more. I think this way, which I really liked. But anyway,
so Vinland Saga hasn't fallen off since Asklad's died.
No, not at all.
Fallen off L+ ratio.
No, okay, I really like this. Like I even got to a point where I was reading this and I'm like, if I didn't read the prologue, would I still be enjoying this? And I think I would. Like even like it's just on its own. I think it just stands really good. Anyway, but my last note on the overall thoughts is that I love the Canute chapters as well. Like we only got 2 of them, but I just thought it was really interesting. Like it makes me feel like we're not going to see him for a very long time because we do like flash forward like 3 years or whatever in his chapters. But I don't know. I just like the placement of them. I thought it was really interesting. But that's my overall thoughts. Now, as usual, I've got 4 pieces of art that I really liked. And
nice.
The first one is from a Canute chapter, which is the end of the second one, where it's essentially just the narrator talking with like this ominous like back shot of Canute. And it's just talking about how he let me just read it out, I guess. He says Sven, oh no, the pronunciations. Sven Ethelred Edmund, after the untimely deaths of his rivals, Canute would officially become the King of England in 1018. Earl Eadric of Mercia did indeed turn cloak to join Canute's side, and in December 1017, Canute had him put to death. And I like this a lot. Just the framing of it. You got the black text at the bottom with just the narrator talking. I thought it was really cool. That's the first thing.
Oh, I was looking for that Earl's name for my video.
Perfect.
I just called him the Earl of Mercia. Actually, I think America.
That is what I think. It's
not quite America.
Yeah.
Well, I pronounced it incorrectly, but Mercia is.
Yeah.
Is the correct way.
I mean, when I was reading through the first time in like the prologue, I kept thinking of it as Mercia or America in my head, but then I'm like, oh,
America.
Mercia, yeah.
Canute conquers the USA.
Yeah.
Nothing can stop this man.
So then, the next piece of art here is from the Iron Fist Ketil chapters, where it's like Ketil trying to deal with the thieving kids.
Oh, and yes.
There's just like this subversion where it sounds like, Pater is, or Pater, or whatever. Oh, God. Pater, that's what I'm going to go with now. It's like he's like speaking reason and he's going to try and spare these kids or whatever from any punishment. And then you get like this subversion where it's like, oh no, I think we should still punish them. And you get like this really cool angle of like a top down of his head and it's all warped and everything.
Yeah.
Like I love it. I love it a lot. Great framing.
It's a really tough perspective to do. But yeah, actually you mention it. It's like Ketil's looking for a break and you're like, oh yeah, Peter, the nice slave guy that will understand. He'll help get him out of this situation. And then Peter's just like, no, just hit him with the stick, bro.
Yep,
just
love
like,
it.
ah. To be fair, it's not as bad as what Thorgil. Anything?
No, not at all.
Not what Thorgil was suggesting.
Thorgil, yeah, we'll talk about Thorgil. But the next piece of art was just after Thorfinn is having some realizations. There's this really big, just empty frame of Thorfinn standing, and he says that now that my hatred is gone, I'm empty. And this is really cool. Like, it's just, there's no framing whatsoever. It's like it's just part of the empty page, and I like it a lot. And to me, it's also very unique. Like, I'm sure it's been done before, but I've never seen anything done like this, and it's just a really cool framing.
Yeah, a Vinland Saga, like, for all how good this art is, very rarely does anything with the panel layout. And this is the first time, actually, I think I remember them really doing anything. There was another one that was pointed out last time by Asher, where, like, Bjorn's bubble enters Askeladd's, like, panel when just before Askeladd strikes him to kill him and stuff like that. But, like, compared to that, some other manga, like the most famous one is like Witch Hat Atelier. Not sure if you've ever heard of this one.
No.
It's a very famous video done by Lines in Motion, kind of talking about it and stuff like the paneling. It's like very much like a book. It's super detailed. But this is very simple. I can't remember any from Attack on Titan, but I'm sure like Isayama would have played around with it a lot. But like for like, I mean, Berserk does this a lot as well, to be fair, where like characters will overlap with other panels, they'll come out of panels, you know, like just how he sets up the page is not as blocky. But Yukimura just keeps things very blocky. I'm not it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just more simple. But yeah, like Yukimura focuses what's inside the panel, of course. But yeah.
Yep. Love it. Love when they innovate with panels and stuff.
It's very cool.
But I guess the final like actual piece of art is at the end of the book. You get this really big full page just image of Thorfinn plowing the land, I would imagine, with a piece of farm equipment rather than a sword, and it's really cool. I think it's the boldest image in this whole like book, or in like all of these books. Like, it's just so like, it's a full page and it's detailed, and I don't know, I don't recall anything like this, but I like it. Now,
so nothing from Valhalla. That's interesting because almost every single time, people love talking about Valhalla. So 71 and 70,
yeah,
art and that and stuff like that. So.
No, it didn't. Nothing stood out to me, I guess. But we'll talk about that later.
Because everybody's like, "Oh my word, Berserk moment." That's
interesting.
It's like, oh,
it does feel like. Well, actually, I have something about this. My next final like weird bonus kind of piece of art is this. We get a picture of a wasp attached to a piece of grass. Like, I don't know if you remember this at all, but like, it's such a weird, like, funny detail, I guess, of a wasp just struggling. Yeah. Any thoughts on this? Do you even remember this?
Yeah, I do. Like he's got like Yukimura does do. I didn't realize that he had the help and the few kind of thing there, but he does have quite a few like bird and just windy panel shots and stuff like that. Just kind of the atmosphere.
Yeah. Now when I saw this, I had like a sense of deja vu. So I don't know if like I've seen this before, but the other thing that came to mind is if like Berserk has something like this, maybe that I'm like thinking of, but I can't recall. But if anyone out there is like a big Berserk fan and you remember this, then I don't know. But sentient bug. Anyway, that's all the art. Now,
Olmar does try and kill a butterfly with his sword in this chapter.
I don't remember that at all. That's great.
Okay. Well, it's early on, so yeah.
Well,
anyway.
Talking about Olmar, I guess now the rest of the video is going to be. I've structured this a bit differently than last time, where I was talking about characters and stuff. This one and probably all the future videos going forward, I'll kind of split it into all the events that happen, just because that's a lot easier to write notes on. But the first one is we get a few chapters of Olmar becoming a man by, or trying to become a man by attempting to kill another man, essentially, which he doesn't end up doing it. But I don't know. These chapters were probably the weakest, I think, of this book, which is interesting because we do open with it. But I don't know. There's not too much to say. Like, it feels like Olmar is just he's just trying to find a direction in his life. Because he's young and his dad wants him to be a farmer, but he wants to be a warrior, but he doesn't really want to be a warrior. And it's kind of, it mirrors Thorfinn in a way, I guess, because like Thorfinn through this book is trying to find a... That's good, actually. I guess it does, that this chapter and Olmar's journey does mirror Thorfinn's journey throughout the whole book, I guess. Like maybe that's why it was placed at the beginning. Now that I think about it, it's probably... Yeah.
And, I mean, you'll probably get onto this in a little bit, but Ketil also resembles Thor's a little bit as well. Not in the sense that he doesn't have slaves, but like how he used to be Iron Fist Ketil.
Yes,
so, that is true. A warrior, so.
I do have one note on that. We'll get to that later. Yeah. But the only other thing that really happens, at least that I want to talk about in this little section, is that we get some details on Einar, which is that he hates warriors because like at first the Englishmen came and burnt down his town, and then the Danes came and like pillaged this town or like took their food and everything, and so he just hates warriors. Now, I don't think anything particularly happens in this book about that, besides him like learning to kind of maybe reflect on it a bit, because Thorfinn was a warrior and he should probably hate Thorfinn, but he doesn't. But not too much happens with this, I don't think. But it was an interesting like aspect to his backstory. The other thing with Einar here is that, and kind of over the whole book, this book went a lot better than I thought for the characters. Like I was constantly thinking that something is going to go terribly. Like Einar's going to step out of line, is going to be killed, or like, I don't know, something's going to happen, and nothing did, which I was glad. But like, I don't know if did you ever have that experience when you were first reading this? Like, am I meant to be feeling like, oh, everything's on edge, anything could happen, you know?
Well, I mean, they build up to like some things with the farm hands. I don't know, I got really emotionally invested in them trying to just get a horse. I was like, dude, screw these guys. Give my boys a horse, you know, like I think also with like earlier on as well, I really like how, I don't know, I just wanted to, like, the fact that Thorfinn was just allowing him to get hit. I was like, come on, Thorfinn, what are you doing, boy?
Yeah.
You're gonna allow yourself to get killed. And I liked how, you know, Snake's introduction is very much just like his gears kick in, and that to me, like, that makes Snake cool. Interesting, because you're like, oh, Snake's cool, but then like,
and he mentioned Usla
to make Thorfinn,
or Thorfinn does like that. I was surprised to see Thorfinn mention Usla, but it's like, oh, he's quicker than, or as quick as Usla or something, which I was surprised. I'm like, oh, maybe he's like got trauma and doesn't want to mention Usla, but he did, so that's interesting. But in this opening section, that's all I've got for like those kind of opening chapters. So yeah. So I guess next, the big chunk of stuff we get is with Canute. So we see essentially Canute's way of running things as a king. And we get him threatening the Eadric, sorry. And threatening that he's going to burn down Mercia. And then we get that flash forward of like Canute's future, I guess, of like what happens and everything. Now, the first thing I've got is about Canute killing his own men for pillaging. That it feels in line with Canute and his like strong philosophy about like wanting to build a paradise and everything, but it feels like that's gonna come back to him at the end. Like that's a very drastic thing to do, to kill your own men just for doing something that they believe in. So yeah, I don't know. Canute is a bit scary in this book. Even though he might have the right intention, I guess.
The panel that you sent of him, like, with his cloak is very villainous, you know, like.
Yeah, so that's something I'll talk about, but yeah, it feels like Canute is essentially being set up like a tyrant, which is like first in his actions, but also in the fact that he doesn't listen to, he doesn't, I don't know, like he does listen, but he doesn't take in other people's advice just because he's so strong on his own philosophy, which is fine if you have like a perfect philosophy, but I don't think he's perfect or anything. And the interesting thing to me is that his dad did used to listen to people. Like that was something I noticed about Sven, that he was a very open kind of leader, where not open in that he would still be the king and his word was the last, but there were a few examples of him just taking in the advice of other people. Now, I don't know if this is something Canute's going to have to consider later or anything, but I don't know. I thought he's being set up more of a tyrant than I thought Sven ever was, which is interesting. because I wouldn't have predicted that really. And he seems to be a lot about the ends justifying the means, which is something I think I brought up last book as well. But interesting stuff with Canute.
Yeah.
Now,
Machiavellian.
there was also there's like that particular last, like the page I put up, or I'll put it up now as well, of Canute like looking back, and we get that narration of what's gonna happen or what happens in the future, him killing everyone. It reminded me of something. Like I feel like I've seen something like this before, like in some story that I can't remember. And there's like 3 examples I came up with, which is the first one is from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now I'm gonna try and not spoil these, I guess, for everyone, but you've seen Avatar, I'm sure.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so he reminds me of Sozin's backstory a bit, where, without spoiling it, I guess, he... Well, you know what, honestly, I think maybe skip like the next like 20 seconds, I guess, if you want to watch Avatar. But
yeah.
So
Sozin's backstory isn't that major, to be fair,
it's not a major detail. I wouldn't worry about this, but the fact is that he started the war and did all these terrible things because he wanted to spread the prosperity of his own peaceful nation, right? And it feels very similar to he slowly developed into becoming a tyrant. He wasn't initially a tyrant; he was still friends with Roku and everything, and over time, his like philosophy overtook his mind, and he became a worse person for it. So I feel like that kind of reminded me of it. It's
almost like the best possible ideology to drive colonialism. You're like, even though it is ignorant, it's like, well, our way is better. You know, like our lifestyle has prospered us so much. Why not try and share it with other nations?
Yeah.
By conquering them. So,
yeah, and it's very similar to what Canute is doing. Yeah. But I guess we'll see if he wipes out a whole country or something. I don't know. It also reminds me. I know you haven't seen this one, but Daenerys from Game of Thrones in a certain way. Now I won't say why, but
is she the dragon lady?
She is the dragon lady. Now I won't say it's not as Clark, it's definitely not as it is. That is her, but it's not as direct as the Sozin one. But she is a lot about like there is stuff paralleled like with slaves and like the ends justifying the means and things like that. So that kind of reminded me of that. And the final one, it reminds me of Griffith from Berserk. Now we have talked about the Griffith stuff. Now this one maybe I would definitely how should I do this? I'll put it like a timestamp. Definitely skip this because this is major Berserk spoilers. But so I guess what happened? You've read Berserk, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what happens in Berserk is that you've got, after the initial prologue bit, you've got Griffith basically building an empire eventually, and at the same time you've got Guts or Thorfinn, I guess, just living a small life, trying to get by and slowly building up a family, and then finding a new direction and meaning in life. All at the same time, while Griffith is achieving his own goals of like building a kingdom and maybe making the world a better place in his mind. So that feels like a very direct kind of parallel as well with his story. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the whole kind of like Machiavellian trope of being very much like the ends justify the means, which I think is a direct quote from one of his books. It's pretty common. I think it's in Code Geass. I've heard it used. You know, like it's like the ideological versus the so it's like I've described it as like it's deontological ethics versus consequentialist ethics. If the consequences work out for the overall benefit, every way that you do go about trying to achieve that goal of a better life is valid and morally good. I can't think morally justifiable. That's the way of putting it. So I think Code Geass was one. I'm sure it's turned up in tons of other ones as well. But that's like it is a typical like villain trope, I think, as well. It's like, oh, this person like doing all these bad things for their goal. Turns out their goal isn't even that good. So they're just a bad person. Or something like that.
So Canute is gonna be a bad person. That's what I'm thinking. He's gonna be a tyrant or tyrannous leader. But that's all I got for Canute in these sections.
It also reminds me of Hot Fuzz. Have you seen Hot Fuzz?
No, I've heard of it.
The villains there like always say the greater good. Oops, I dropped my mic. The greater good. In their like, because anyway, it's a great movie. It's very, very British. Definitely watch it.
All right. Well, moving on, we get the next part of the story, which is about meeting the old master. So we get Thorfinn and Einar arguing about whether to get a horse. Then they meet the old master Sverkel, who lends them a horse. And then on a rainy day, they have a dinner together, and Sverkel talks about wealth and protecting your own land. So this was the first 2-part chapter I've ever seen, in this story at least, which is very interesting. Like that kind of prompted my question initially about like if this was a weekly thing or a monthly thing, because I don't know. I figured it would have been more frequent or more like a kind of thing if it was weekly, but I don't know. It's a small interesting thing.
I mean, Vinland Saga will get less creative with its titles as they go on.
Oh,
like one arc's just called, the Baltic Sea War arc.
I've heard the name. Yes.
Yeah, you've heard the name. Well, each chapter is War in the Baltic, and then the number next to it.
Oh, love it. Okay, hey, that's pretty good.
So,
If they commit to that, then I like it.
Yeah, it becomes more common as it goes on, which I guess is a bit of a shame. But like the chapters do inevitably get shorter, so it makes more sense to like just name it that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of interpreting chapter titles and stuff, but you know what? It's fine.
True, me too.
Anyway, so next up,
truly, this is Midland Saga.
Absolutely, yeah. Mappa's gonna ruin it. And then it's gonna get cancelled.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
So when Thorfinn and Einar are arguing about whether to get a horse, they have two different very different approaches to farming. Where you've got Einar wanting to tackle everything right away. Like he just wants to essentially get as much progress done as quickly as possible. And then you've got Thorfinn on the other hand, which just wants to do everything one at a time. He wants to first chop down the trees and then take out the roots, and he doesn't want to try and get through it really quickly or anything. Like he just wants to kind of stay in his own little stasis thing. And I like this kind of metaphor, I guess, of the farming for their like different approaches to life. It's cute, I guess. I don't know. I like the way it's done.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yep.
I haven't really thought like that before, but yeah, Thorfinn's very much like quite apathetic.
Yeah, like he has a line here which is, it's hard enough to clear land. We can't tend fields at the same time. Just cutting down the trees isn't any harder than what we've been doing. It's like he just wants to stay there and, I don't know, keep going with what he's doing, which just kind of directs his like whole feeling empty and not having anything to really look forward to or anything like that. Kind of fits him. Farming, good arc, good stuff.
Yeah.
Then we get the conversation at the dinner table with Sverkel, and it was a bit confused. Like I was trying to piece together like what his advice was, or like his kind of like philosophy on life, and I think I got two things from it. The first one is that a man, or just a person, I guess, should own as much stuff as they can protect on their own, because he talks about how, like, if you're he kind of chastises Ketil for paying off the king and like paying for these guests to come protect his farm, and he's like, oh, a man should like only have a farm as big enough so that he can protect it on his own or something. So I think that was the first lesson, which I'm not sure about the relevance for the story, so I guess I'd have to think about that a bit more. The next one he gives, which is way more relevant, I guess, is that wealth is not something to strive for. Because he talks about if you increase wealth, then you're going to try and like you're going to use that wealth to increase it even more. And then what end are you really serving? Like, what's the point of this wealth? It's all really empty. And then from that lesson, particularly the reason I think that's relevant is because it really is internalized for Thorfinn, where he realizes, or I guess what I think he realizes from that is that like wealth, and hence the pillaging that he'd been doing with Aslad and everything, he realized that that's not what gives life meaning. So it's kind of challenging everything he'd known as a child, or I guess growing up in the prologue, and seeing that this old wise man, he's saying this. It's interesting. Now, the other,
I mean, it was just to butt in a little bit. It also actually, as you were saying that, it reminds me of the curse of the crown, the power of the crown. In a way,
Ooh,
the curse of gold, and wealth. And always ask me, use me, accrue more of me. Yeah. And
No,
I
that's a
just
great
thought
point. And then it reminds me of Gorm or Aslad's uncle or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, interesting.
fascinated by gold. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think what Sverkel is trying to say is like, live a simple life. Um, do, like have enough. Like if your family is happy and prosperous, like then beyond that, what's the point? Like what's the
yeah,
point of having all these fields and trying to make more and more wealth? Like and all this stuff.
yeah.
Like
It's a very
and
Thor's
then
kind of philosophy as well, where
yeah,
it's kind of like how he went to Iceland and just lived a life, like little area that he could protect. Yeah,
yeah, for sure, for sure.
yeah. Okay, well, that's all I've got for the old man stuff. Anything else
Mm.
for that?
No, Sverkel's just an interesting character. What do you think about Sverkel's relationship with Snake?
It's cool. It's interesting because I don't, as far as I understand, they don't really like know each other that well. He's a guest that's coming and defending the place. But they're bickering and they seem like they like each other, even though they don't on the surface.
Like an old married couple.
Yeah, actually, that's a
For
great
fun.
description.
Yeah.
I like Snake a lot. Actually, Snake is interesting. Um, I like Sverkel as well.
Yes. Snake has a few like lines where he's like, "Oh yeah, us warriors, right, Thorfinn? Am I right, Thorfinn?"
Yep.
And he gives this like cheeky smile, and you're just like, and Thorfinn's just like, "Oh no, I don't know."
Mm,
So, yeah. Anyway, like it's like Snake knows what's going on, and he's like the
yeah.
only guy that kind of knows what's going on. I guess, which is kind of interesting. I don't know. It's like,
Yeah. I mean,
he's a mysterious guy, this Snake dude.
he is, and he is
Who's
also
he?
being compared to Aslud by Thorfinn a bit. So I wonder if he'll take a more of a mentor role eventually as well. I don't know. Um, but Snake, yeah,
Mm.
it's interesting snake. Interesting name as well. Snake, Badger, Fox, like all those names. I don't know. But the next part of the story is Iron Fist Ketil. So it's Ketil dealing with the child thieves, basically. And
Yeah,
this was
the
great.
kid's called Stir, I think. Stir.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
had I had to look that up for my video. So I didn't realize he had a name, but I was like, he may have a name.
Are they in the trailer for season 2?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Love
Yeah.
it.
He had pictures, so I was just like, here's a picture of Stir. It's from chapter 67.
Perfect.
I think. So, yeah.
But I thought this chapter, like, I don't know if it was one chapter or two, but I was very invested because I'm like, these kids should not be punished. Like, what I mean, they should maybe a little bit, but not like hurt. Like they're just trying to, help their family and their mothers is like, she's sick, and I'm like, oh, don't hurt these kids. So I was very emotionally invested, which made me read it very fast, and I liked it a lot. Now,
Mm.
it also made me hate Thorgil. So we do get the introduction of Thorgil in these chapters, and he is a very, very much a Viking, like very much like a warrior who wants to kill and pillage and even kill his own friends if they try and take what is his. And I don't know, he scares
Does it
me a bit.
mention where he's a Viking from in this chapter? I can't remember if it's introduced.
I don't
where
remember.
he's-
I'm sure it does. I don't remember.
So I'm not. It's not really a spoiler, but like he like Thorgil's a very very elite warrior. So
I mean, he
he's
has the
like
scars to prove it. He's got scars all
yeah,
over his
as you say, he's like quintessential Viking. He's only 24 as well.
That's pretty crazy.
I I found that out recently, and it was one of those funny things, when people say like, oh, like the anime meme of like, is it Jotaro from JoJo's
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
17 years old, and then this like lolly princess is 500-year-old
Yep.
dragon woman or whatever. It's like that meme where it's just like this dude, he looks like he's like 30 or something.
Yeah.
Castle's like 44, so
Oh boy. I would have guessed he was in his 60s or something. Man.
I mean, Sverkel's like 60 something, 69 or something.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
But this is like Viking times, so like
Yeah.
everything's like everybody looks a little older, is shorter than they actually are. Like
Yep.
Yeah, anyway.
I did notice this, I know last book you mentioned how Einar's really tall, and I did notice it this book, like when he's fighting the farmhands particularly.
Yeah.
But
and he's only 6 feet tall. He's only 180.
Really?
184. Yeah. So
Huh.
everybody else is tiny. Thor's and Bjorn aren't even 6 foot. That's the best part.
Oh, that's cool.
my favorite thing.
Yeah, no, that is
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah, interesting. But back to Thorgil. The thing I liked about him is that I hate him and I'm like scared of what he's gonna do, but
Yeah.
it's such a contradiction because I liked Asklad and like his men and watching them, and I didn't fear them at all or anything. But I don't know. It's a cool like subversion because he would fit in great with them. I think like he could be Aslad's right hand man or something. Like it's just a good little twist there.
It's just because he upsets the power balance entirely. Like I think in this chapter, it's very much like you feel like Ketil's in control. No matter what, Ketil, in every situation, he's the master.
Yeah.
Everybody listens to him. Olmar listens to him. Even his father, even though they disagree, his father's not going to do anything. Snake also listens to Ketil as well, right? And then Thorgil comes in, and he's I mean, don't want to put in like cringe terms, but he's like the alpha male, I guess, or like
yeah,
like
I know what you mean.
He's a big boy that comes in and just kind of runs over Ketil, and you're like, holy crap! Like they were having such a nice time, they're getting their, they're farming, they got a horse, it's happy, and then this guy comes along and he just upsets the status quo. You feel like he's gonna bring doom somehow to this happy place, as you said, like with Asklad, when Thorfinn's there, you're like, I don't care, like Thorfinn's got nothing to protect apart from his own life. You're like, I don't care, like they'll fight it out. But here, you're like, what? They've got, Einar here. He's got good friends. They've got their farm which they want to protect.
Yeah, there's a lot to lose.
And they've also got Arnid as well. Like what could happen to her? You've got things that like that war could destroy that you care about, which I don't think you had in the first arc really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Thorgil challenges. I guess speaking about Ketil, and he was not at all what I was expecting. Like, I remember last book I was so scared of him because I'm like, he seems too good to be true. He's got these ominous like angles and he's always in the shadows and stuff. But he is just not, I wouldn't say he's a good guy or anything. Like he has slaves and everything, but for his time he's just a great guy. Like he's a coward. He's like his defining thing is what he like complains about at the end of this like little section. But he doesn't want to hurt the kids. He just wants to live a nice, happy, peaceful life,
The dude just wants to play his Farmville. He just wants to. He's just playing Civ, and other people are coming along, and he's the guy who just wants to build up his civilization and then the other people will come along and try and start taking his city. He's like, dude, I just want to have my own thing. Like, just leave me alone. Like, and also, I mean, that has something to do with his past as a warrior.
Yeah.
So
true.
I mean, so yeah, no, he's an interesting guy, and like,
yeah,
I guess refreshing. Like, cause as you say, like you get early on, you're like, dude, I expect this Ketil guy to be, wrong. But then you kind of realize, oh no, like the issue with Ketil is that he's not strong enough in a way.
Yeah.
Like if he was like Thor's went back down to Thorgil.
Yeah.
Thor's knew Thor's knew how to negotiate a little bit, and if worst comes to worst, I mean, he's one punching Thorgil right in the schnoz. Like that's just how it is. But Ketil here, you're like, I mean, you don't get the feeling that he could punch Thorgil. I mean, maybe he could, but like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't want to give anything away, right? But
yeah.
But like,
well, I mean, in my opinion, I don't
point,
think he
like,
would. Yeah, but I guess we'll see if he does. Like at this point, it feels like I don't think I've got like a prediction on this or anything, but I feel like Thorgil's something terrible's gonna happen. Like I don't know what's gonna happen, but Thorgil is. I don't know, Ketil. I don't know if Ketil will die or anything, but I feel like something bad's gonna happen there. Yeah, but with Ketil, he is very similar to Thor's, like what we just talked about. But when I was reading, I was wondering, is this like the closest character we've gotten to Thor's like so far? Because it feels like he's on his way to being there, where he doesn't want to cause harm to anyone. He just wants to live his life. And obviously he was like that parallel with that he used to be a very strong warrior and everything, but he's a quote unquote coward, I guess. But to me, I can't remember anyone else who I feel like would be closer to Thor's philosophy so far, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, maybe if you discount like Helga, who I maybe she would be, like I don't know, but yeah, Ketil good, Ketil interesting. Until we get like a plot twist and he's evil or something, but I don't think so. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But
And then, I mean, you even get so he's in bed with Arnie. I
that's
always thought
exactly what I
that
was gonna
scene.
say. It's
Yeah.
that is that feels like something terrible is gonna happen now. That's what I got when I read it. I was like, oh no, this is not good. Because Einar obviously loves her. And she is Ketil's property. Ketil's property, who he will never let go. Which is certainly different from what he's doing with all the other slaves. So I guess he's not. Yeah, no, yeah, I guess that last scene is kind of another thing that separates him from Thor's. Man,
Yeah.
that is a good, like, I was very, like, the breath was taken out of me when I read that, and I was like, oh no, this is bad.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Arnie's expressions in this scene, so you tell a lot. So quite good. Because Arnie's one of those characters that because she is a slave and because she is a woman, she isn't always allowed to be anything but nice and pretty, you know?
Yeah.
Which some people may be like, well, that makes her as a character not very compelling. And to some extent, I agree, but I think as a thematic role, it's one of those things where you're just like, yeah. As I said in the very first video of this series, you know, if you're not liking something about Vinland Saga, try and think about how it fits into the themes of the stories, and then it may help you understand at least why Yukimura went for it. But yeah.
Okay. That's all I've got for Iron Fist Kettle. Anything else you want to add?
No.
All right. Well, next up we've got the second last section of the story, which is Sverkel teaching Thorfinn and Einar to fish, and then Thorfinn having his first realization. So Thorfinn is having a dream, essentially. He's been having a dream throughout this whole book. And we finally get the reveal that it's all the people he's killed in the past, and he's like saying sorry to them and everything. And the first note I've got is, I wonder who the first person that Thorfinn killed was. Now, like, that was a note I made when I was reading it, but I feel like the point at the end, in like the final chapter of this book, that we get revealed is that he doesn't remember who the first person that he killed was. Because we see, I haven't got a picture here, but I'll put it on the video. We do get this one panel of like Thorfinn looking at this one like one dead like body or whatever in particular, and I really just
on the top of the pile, yeah.
It feels to me like that's the first person that he killed, and he just can't remember him. So I thought that was really cool. Neat little thing. But yeah, anyway, back to this specific chapter. We also get the reveal that Thorfinn admits finally that he doesn't hate Astlad anymore. And he thinks back to like the advice that Astlad was giving him about like living a life with like being a warrior and someone Thor's would be proud of, and yeah, neat stuff. Thorfinn finally at the end of this book is coming around. Now we do get that thing, the panel I showed before in the standout art with the empty kind of border, and Thorfinn talking about how he's empty. I thought it was interesting how it was parallel to that I don't know if it's famous, but I think you said it was famous, like with the shot of Thor's and all the arrows coming in, and they've got very similar like positioning, and like their hair is tied up in the same way, but Thorfinn's is a bit shorter. Like I think it's just like a nice little, like, I don't know if it's a call. To me, I think it'd be a nice little callback to just Thorfinn taking a good step in the right direction, like getting closer to Thor's in a way. Now, I don't know. I like it. I don't know if that's what it will be proven to be later, but I thought that was cool.
Then they go fishing.
Yes, they go fishing, which is a very symbolic kind of representation of what's going on, where it's like you throw the net, you learn, you do it again, and then you keep going until you learn how to finally catch a fish. And it's just a neat little metaphor of like how to I don't know, how to find a direction in life, which is what Thorfinn is searching for. And it's interesting how it's portrayed, like with the sparkling water and everything, and it's really makes it look like it's a momentous, like, internal moment for Thorfinn, where he's finally, like...
The lighting in this scene is great, yeah.
Yeah, like, he's learning something. Like, this is going to be one of those key moments that defines his life, like, similar to when Thor's died. Like, he's learning something here.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, Yeah, Sverkel has a lot of wisdom to him, and he has this page where like just keep learning as you do it, one thing after another. Being empty means that anything can fit inside it with you.
Mm.
If you want to be reborn, empty is the best place to be. And
Yeah.
it's just overwhelmingly optimistic, which is almost weird from Sverkel, who's just like always this grumpy. You'd
Yeah.
expect him just to be this old man. Well, he is. He is this old kind of man, but he has these moments of like, 'cause straight after this, like he says, like get to work, don't just stand there. So he, like Sundere, basically.
Yeah.
You know, that's effectively what he is. But yeah, it's quite interesting. I'll get that panel and send it to you.
Yeah.
Continue.
I mean, he also, Sverkel doesn't treat them like slaves as well. Like, that's another thing where he just treats them like anyone else, like people to help him out. So I thought it was cool. Sverkel's a cool little guy. Old man.
Old man.
Yeah. Now we get, also in this Empty Man chapter, we get Thorfinn punching the farmhand, which is, I think we briefly talked about that before, or you mentioned it. It's just great. Like, it's like you're expecting, I don't know what I mean. I can only speak for what I was expecting, but I was expecting either Einar to punch the farmhand and then everything to get out of hand, and that's how this volume ends terribly. Or I was expecting Thorfinn to like jump in front of the farmhand and take the blow for the farmhand, and kind of like that's like his final step. But it goes a completely other way, which is that Thorfinn punches the farmhand out of anger, and he regrets it. And I think that's the best of all the options in my opinion. Like, it was just great, where it's like he doesn't want to slip back into what he was before, and now he's punching him, and he feels bad, and he has that whole dream, and it's just, I like it a lot. And man, that panel is just so detailed and great double page.
This
spread.
is one that you see plastered everywhere, like just the punch, and like
that could have got in the standout art actually. That's really good. Man,
I mean, actually, I also love like, so I mean, like, this is where just like, yeah, I love the like, so it's all shaking because Thorfinn gets kicked on the back of the head, and then he sees John's mother there.
Yes,
he's like, and it's like, who are you? And then he goes to sleep, and he sees his dad, Thor's, and then he kind of,
I thought that was great. Like, I had a big brain moment when I was reading this, which is probably not that big brain because I'm sure it's obvious, but I realized what he was forgetting at that moment. I was like, oh, he's forgetting about how he doesn't have enemies, because I'm like, oh, I remember he like I just remember seeing that John's mother, and I'm like, oh, that's what he was. He killed that lady. He feels bad. No, they weren't his enemy. No one's his enemy. It's great.
Yeah. And it's so good. Like, he's in the happy place with the lamb.
Yeah. So should we transition to that, I guess, now?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So you're kind of going back. It's points. I'm not sure which chapter we're on, but let's go at your pace. Let's go at your pace.
Oh, I only have one more note for this little section.
And
it's very unrelated to that, but so in the end of this little section where Thorfinn has his revelation before the fight, where they find out that their crops have been destroyed, the tone kind of becomes a bit somber, and like the sky is a bit darker. And Einar, like, we're in this little panel, which I also got a screenshot of, but I'll put that in the video, where Einar just has this subtle revelation where he knew that Arnheid is Ketil's permanent slave. Like, it's not something that he comes to learn, it's just the fact that he knew it all along, and now he's saying it. And I thought it fit in well. Like, in this moment, like, he says, if they like you, they won't let you go. If they hate you, they take you down like this, and I can't stand being a slave. Good placement for that. Like, I really fit the tone very well.
Yeah. Einar's a vibe.
I love that. Like, Einar's great.
Oh, I mean, there's so many just like you just look, and it's just so dirty. It's just like, I mean, and then like there's this dude where it's just like they literally give him the most punchable face, you know, like he's got these like teeth, and you're like, dude, I just want to knock those teeth out. Like, it's such a simple trope, and I just fall for it every single time. I get mad. It's just injustice. Yeah. And then and then you got this funny like like, and then like, I don't know, Einar like starts rubbing his cheek. He's like, wow, that's quite the punch. And then they just go for it. Like, the thing is, like, Yeah, Aina starts asking for a fight,
Mm.
and then. And you're just like, I'm just like, oh well, Thorfinn's gonna go to town on all these fools, and then he stops trying to fight, and then he gets knocked out. I like that,
Yeah.
like when I'm reading this, I'm just like, oh, I want Thorfinn to fight. Weirdly, I don't know why, but I'm just like, I want Thorfinn to show these clowns that like he's actually like really strong. I don't know why I have this conviction inside of me, but
that's
I always
something
have
I've got actually to bring up. Like it's where have I written this?
I can we just mention that Aina like 3v1s these guys, like, and this is the next chapter, but this is the beginning of it. This is what I love about Yukimura's style. He's so good at drawing like thick clothes, and he like adds so much like just texture and detail to them. I mean, this is the thing. Like, Aina's a big boy, and he clowns these guys. Like, he actually like Aina's pretty strong.
Yeah, and they can't knock him down. It's like, oh, he's not going down. What do we do?
Yeah. And then, I mean, yeah, sorry, you say what you're going to say.
So the point is basically what you said before, which is that I found myself, like, after, like, essentially every chapter after that snake kind of fight where Thorfinn, like, backs off from Snake, I was just hoping for a moment where Thorfinn can, like, prove himself and to everyone and, like, show off how good he is. Now... But at the same time, while I was thinking that, I did realize that kind of goes against the point of the story, which is that like he's meant to learn that that's a bad thing. So kind of the thing is, I don't know if that like I wanted to say that it works in a meta way where it's like we're meant to learn that like as the reader, we're meant to realize that our thinking is also bad when Thorfinn realizes it, but I don't think it does work. Like at least at this point, nothing has really like convinced me as a reader that I shouldn't want that. But so I'm interested to see if like future books do anything like that. Yeah, but that's my point about that.
Because it is like if Thorfinn wanted to get away, he could. You know, he's not like Aina. I think that's almost the point. Like Thorfinn doesn't run away because he has nothing else to do, right? Initially, and now he's building himself up. He's building an ideology that tells him that that's what he shouldn't do. Which is weird for us as readers because we're cheering for Thorfinn, but we're cheering the wrong way. I think it is a bit of you do get the sense that Yukimura is like judging you a little bit. He's like admonishing. He's like, no, you shouldn't be thinking this. Why are you thinking this? Like, you know, and but like that's kind of how it does. And I mean, it'll be interesting to see how you feel about this as the arc continues because this is only the beginning. So we've got 3 more books in this arc. So.
Oh my goodness.
No, 2 more. So there's 3 in total.
We're on book 5 now, so are we halfway yet? No, there's like 12 or so books.
There's 12, yeah.
All right, we're getting there. We're getting
there.
Okay, let's go to Thorfinn's dream now.
Yeah.
So with what we get. Okay, what should I say? I'd say the first note I've got is about how it's interesting that Valhalla in Thorfinn's mind. Because I'm in my interpretation, this is all just happening in Thorfinn's mind. Like, there's nothing special going on, but anyone can interpret it differently. It's very interesting that Valhalla is the complete opposite to Thor's vision, where just everyone. I think it's us. I don't know if it's Asgard or if it's just Thorfinn thinking this, but it's a place where everyone is an enemy. So it's just the complete opposite to everything that Thor's was thinking. It's just a neat little thing. But at the same time, it's also the complete opposite of Thorfinn's vision of Vinland. Because like we start this little dream sequence in Vinland, like on the surface. And like where that lamb and Thor's comes in and it's slowly revealed like that like he's got that sword in his hand, is bloodied and then he falls literally under the ground and he falls into Valhalla, like a hell, like the complete opposite of Vinland. And it's a great like visual like metaphor thing.
Dude, when Thor's turned up in this, like, that initial of Thor's petting the lamb, I was like, uh-oh. Like, I don't know, he was just, it's just scary Thor's. And then it has this great reveal panel of, like, who did you use those, who did you kill with those swords? And then, like, it has the reveal on the next page of Thorfinn covered in blood. Yeah, the old Thorfinn. And then his heel gets grabbed, and then... But the thing is, like... down. Thor's gets grabbed with him too, you know, like it's like Thor's also like I'm not sure, like maybe Thor's also had these nightmares as well, and then it goes back to the panel that one panel where he's like, back in
Yeah.
volume 1, it's like, you have no enemies, and then
No
Yeah,
one
it just
has
gets-
any enemies.
oh, it's just so good.
It is.
Dude. I can't wait for this to get animated. It's gonna look not as good. I know
no,
it's not
no.
gonna look as
Hey,
good.
you never
but
know. Hey,
there
we've
was
got
some
the
hints that
manga.
they're going for. There's some hints that in the anime they may go for like a slightly different style that's more like painterly and like almost a bit blurry. Anyway, like in the trailer, I'm gonna kind of talk about this in my video.
Yep.
And there's like a hint of that, and I'm just like, dude, if it looks like that, that's like the best thing I can think of them to do. Because if you look at this dude, like you look at Thorfinn looking down here, it's just like, how can you like? It's impossible, to animate that, Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's not. They'll find a way. I'm sure they will.
It's
but,
Mappa,
it's
the
incredible.
greatest studio ever. They got this.
Yeah, it's Mappa. No, I mean, yeah, of course.
Yes. Okay. Well. Okay. Another note I've got on this dream is that I love that he has a dream with his father in Vinland, and then he has a dream with his other father in Hell or Valhalla. And they're both giving him they're both helping him, which is interesting. Like you'd figure like Aslad in Hell or Valhalla would be like giving him this like, I don't know, teaching him the wrong thing, I guess, whereas Thor's would be teaching him the right thing above. But both of the father figures are kind of teaching him the right thing to do. I thought it was just really neat. This is a great last little chapter in this book.
Mhm.
What else have I got here? Oh, okay. Now I've just written down like Thorfinn's realization after this whole sequence, which is, I need to confess, I've lived a life of violence. I've had no hope. I killed many, many people with these hands. Even today, I punched a man. I punched him, though I knew it wouldn't solve a thing. Never again. I will never harm any person again. As of today, I am through with violence. And I don't know, I like that a lot. It feels like it's happened, like he made that realization a lot sooner than I think I was expecting. Like, I feel like this is kind of like end game kind of stuff. Like at the end of the, like, I don't know, the next arc, not this one, but the next one, he'll realize that this is kind of like, I don't know, he shouldn't be hurting people. But I think it's very interesting to have it now where the point won't be to make this realization, but the point will be to kind of stick to this realization and try and face the challenges that is brought up when he has this realization. So I don't know, it was a really interesting thing to place it this early for him to realize that. And I liked his little speech he gives. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like when Askeladd turns up again,
Man, it's great.
It is hype inducing. It's weird. I like Askeladd more in this arc than I like him in the first arc.
Well, that's interesting because this is Thorfinn's, in my opinion, this is Thorfinn's vision of Askeladd. So this would, in his mind, be the best version of Askeladd that there is. Like it's not.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's not really Askeladd or his spirit or anything. It's just Thorfinn, what he saw him as, which is a good person in the end. He saw him giving that advice to him, and it's really stuck with him, even in his nightmare. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, Askeladd did give him advice in real life, but it's this weird thing. Like, so you got this. I put loads of panels in this chapter.
Yeah.
If you just focus on Askeladd, like Askeladd's like grumpy in the first one. He has another like he's like watching what Thorfinn's doing, and then Thorfinn has this big burrito. It's like, I'm so sorry, and then he has like a slight smile at it, and then he's like, then Askeladd just jumps off and starts killing people, and then he tells him to climb. This is your battle. Go and take those you killed with you. Fight your true battle. Become a true warrior, Thorfinn. And then like he's like this like Thorfinn's like trying his hardest to get up, and then he like. I love how the transition is just so like he's like, I've got to climb, and then he's just like transitions to him just holding his hands up in the air.
Yep.
I don't know. I think
this is great. Like the visuals are great too.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up from the dream, and the fight is resolved, and everything works itself out. I can't believe it. Like, he doesn't get punished for the fight. No one gets punished. The farmhands are just, like, because they found, or Pater finds evidence that it was, he comes through, finds the evidence in his investigation, and the narrative is rewarding Thorfinn's learning. And I love it. Like, it's just, the fact that Thorfinn learns and then nothing bad happens because of it, I like, not like plot-wise, but just, like, thematically, I love it a lot. It's great stuff.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, just look at Peter. Like Peter was digging through that field to find something, like because he believes Einar and Thorfinn, like because he was a
Yeah.
slave after all. But like, yeah, I like Peter's. Yeah, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, Peter's a weird character because like he has sympathy for the slaves.
But at the same
Like
time,
in a
he's very
way,
strict.
yeah, he didn't have sympathy for the kids. I guess he did in comparatively, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. I just love, and also just the faces. Like, I mean, the art is so good. Like, just how does the clothes, the faces feel so like 3-dimensional. Like, there's so much volume to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I loved all the new characters in this, just in this volume, or in this book.
Yeah, sure.
Good stuff. But that's all the notes I've got for all the events that have happened. So like all the other stuff I've got is miscellaneous notes and then predictions. So if there's anything else you want to talk about, I guess, then go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna send you someone I know on Twitter colored the whole chapter 71.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I'll send that to you. It's very well colored. She's very, very good.
Awesome.
So if you want to go read that in your spare time, I very highly recommend it. Like yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
It looks fantastic. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where you're just like, dude, if the anime could look like this, we're
Hey, don't worry, it will. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
My first piece of criticism.
Oh no!
And probably my only piece, besides something else I talked about, I think, before. My first piece of criticism is that I think Thorfinn's redesign is a bit too drastic, because I mentioned this last book, and it's even more true this book. I don't recognize him at all. Like, to me, if you showed me this and you didn't say it was Thorfinn, I could not like make the connection. Like, there's no, like, how sometimes, I mean, I don't know if you can relate, but I know sometimes for me, you see like a character in like a prequel or a sequel, and you're like, oh, I can kind of feel the previous person in here. But when I'm seeing Thorfinn's redesign, I don't feel Thorfinn at all. What I feel more is Thor's. Like, I can definitely see Thor's in this design. Like with the hair, and especially when it's tied back, and it really feels like it. But yeah, I think it's just a bit too drastic. I feel like if there was like a little bit of a transition period, like we got with that John's mother chapter, like in the prologue, I feel like it would have been a bit better.
Well, we had his hair down to begin with, right?
Yeah, true. But even then, like, I think even at that point, I'm like, I don't recognize this person. But anyway, it's just a small piece. Okay. I know it's Thorfinn, so it doesn't actually bother me.
I can't believe you would say such outlandish things.
I know.
I would say that this is a goatee Thorfinn here is I think that's my favorite design actually of Thorfinn.
Yeah. I really like when he ties his hair back.
Later on where I'm just like, I love it so much. It's so much.
Yeah, he looks great with his hair tied back. Just as like a look.
Because the goatee is a little like almost Askeladd-like as well. So
oh yeah, that's true.
You got the Thor's hair and the Askeladd.
Okay, I love that. That's great. I didn't think of that. Okay, next miscellaneous point. The concept of working for your freedom is something that's like brought up a bit in this book. And I don't have anything to say about it. That's why it's like in the miscellaneous notes. But I think it's interesting, especially for Thorfinn, who, like, yeah, no, I don't really have anything to say. I just think it's an interesting idea to work for your freedom, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Because for me, like in my opinion, obviously everyone should be free, so you don't need to work for it. But like, it's interesting. Like yeah, that's all I can really say. It's interesting. So that's all I have for that.
Yeah, sure.
Next thing is about they mentioned King Harold, who's Canute's brother. But why is he a king? Like, maybe it'll be explained later, but shouldn't he be like
so Canute's not king of England?
But... Yeah.
Canute's king of England and Harold's king of Denmark.
Yeah, but like, yeah, does that mean? I mean, I don't say anything, but I would assume that means they're gonna fight eventually if they're two opposing kings, or am I meant to understand something else? Like, am I missing like a piece of history or something? Okay.
You're not missing anything.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Yeah, because I thought that was weird. I'm like, because he actually, the thing that confused me, now that I think about it, was when Olmar mentions King Harold and he says, "Oh, King Harold's gonna send people to help Canute, like he's gonna send the force to help him." So I was like, oh, I guess maybe they are on the same side. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm interested to see what's gonna happen. Two kings.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think what's happened with Sven, they've kind of just they've divvied it up. I mean, this is one of the complaints that I do understand with the manga. Is like if you're really into Canute's story and the political antics, they do, at least in this book, not really discuss it too much. They're just like, oh, he just poisoned a bunch of guys. And
oh no, that was great. Back. I love it. That's the best way they could have done it, in my opinion. I'm so glad we don't get like. I hope we don't. I mean, maybe we will, but I hope at this moment that we don't go back and see any more of that little period of time for Canute. Like, I love just hearing, oh, and he poisoned these people and blah blah blah, and I like that a lot.
Wow. Okay, unique take. There you go.
Yeah, it was very. I was like, great, ominous narration. Love it.
Okay, cool. Because basically the anime will have extra things in it, and it looks like they've had like pictures of basically like I can't tell if it's Harold or not, or if it's someone else, because how do I say it? Basically, like it feels like they're gonna add stuff in for Canute, and I wonder if they're going to do, because this arc is shorter than the previous arc.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering if they're going to try and stretch it over 24 episodes, because we know we're going to get 24 episodes of this. They recently confirmed it, so it's kind of like, how are they going to divvy up the manga chapters, and how much stuff are they going to add? So anyway, by the time like, that video comes out, you should be able to watch that video and spoiler free, basically.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, you won't be able to watch the manga part. Oh, actually, maybe. I mean, no, I do reference some later stuff slightly. Anyways,
I guess it depends how long the video takes.
But yeah, you can
2 weeks.
Then then you'll be good.
Yep. All right.
You'll be good.
Next, miscellaneous note. No, wait, I've already said this one. I was just talking about how I was on edge reading it, where I'm like, oh, I feel like things could crumble at any moment. We already talked about that.
Yeah, I love that. It's this like way, like you just can't relax. I'm just like, dude, something's gonna happen, bro. Something's gonna happen.
And the point, I think it is like it is the point. Like, now that I think about it, because what we do get at the end is that reveal that nothing is gonna happen, at least in this book, because Peter comes through, and then like the slaves, the farmhands are punished. So yeah. Anyway, cool stuff. The last like miscellaneous thing before predictions is that there was this one chapter, like towards the end, where Thorfinn and Einar were being compared quite a bit. And the two like comparisons I've got here are that first, the farmhands are saying that things got better and more productive for Einar and Thorfinn's farm when Einar arrived. So they're kind of saying, oh, Einar's better than Thorfinn in this way. And then the next one is when they're fishing. Einar like catches the fish the first try when Thorfinn is like struggling. Like another thing of like Einar being better. Now, I don't know what the reason for this is. Like, it could just be a surface level thing where it's like, oh, Einar's got his life figured out, whereas Thorfinn doesn't. And I like that.
Well, I think Einar like just injects passion into Thorfinn. He gives him direction as a friend. He helps balance him out. Einar is a man of the earth, the ground. He's worked in these areas, so it makes sense that he maybe have a knack for fishing more because he's actually done fishing before. Thorfinn's just fought his whole life. It kind of shows that like almost like this unlikely friendship happening and just benefiting them both. You know, particularly Thorfinn. Like, and the reason why Einar's the problem is because Thorfinn beforehand just would go about himself. He's happy to be abused. You know, Thorfinn would just take anything. You see him initially like the farmhands eat all their food and gives them some scraps, and Thorfinn's always like, "Thank you for the food," and he'll just suffer. Yeah. But Einar won't put up with that. Einar's here to get out and make some drive and make a man make something out of this. So yeah.
Yeah, I liked like every time we see or Thorfinn and Einar run into someone, Thorfinn always greets them. And it's just a funny little thing. Yeah. And then Einar doesn't say anything.
Yeah. Einar's a bit of a like the rebellious teenager, but like he has got a strong sense of justice, which I like.
Yeah.
He's like weirdly like he's just very optimistic and feels a little bit out of place in this world almost. I don't know, like lots of everybody else is kind of weathered down, but Einar doesn't stop. He just keeps on going.
Yep. And that's why he is Thorfinn's first friend. Love it.
Yeah, that's why we love him. Yeah.
But now I've got 3 predictions. Are you ready? Okay.
I'm ready, boy.
I'm going to read this one out. Thorfinn will be faced to defend something that he learns to love. this will be his next philosophical challenge. So it might be Einar, or it might be the farm. Like, the reason I think that he's going to have to defend something is that at one point the guests talk about, oh no, not the guests, I think it's Snake particularly, in that like dinner conversation. He talks about how 50 men could destroy this farm. So I feel like that's going to be the first like challenge for Thorfinn, where it's like, I don't want to, like, I've committed to not hurting another person, but here I am defending something I've learned to come and love.
The foreshadowing's strong in this book.
Yeah, so I don't know how Thorfinn's going to deal with that. Like, that just, I don't know. But yeah, that's my first prediction.
Okay.
The next one
that's
is...
pretty good prediction.
Yeah. It's going to happen.
Paying attention to all the... I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you're taking things and you're like, how is he progressing his ideology and stuff like that? I'm like, yeah, that's smart. That's smart.
Yeah. Well, my next prediction is about Canute. And I think he's going to stand opposite to everything Thorfinn believes. Now, this is something I brought up in either like the last video or the video before. But I feel like Canute is going to go on he's going to go on the complete opposite path to Thorfinn, where Canute's going to learn the importance of violence, like to get what you need. Whereas Thorfinn's going to learn about how, I don't know, how to get what you want without resorting to violence. So yeah, I feel like they're going to be opposites at one point. And maybe they'll have to confront each other. I don't know if that's going to be how it goes. Or maybe in their own individual stories, they'll be punished or rewarded in their own way. But that's another bold prediction. Yeah, is that one going to happen?
Yeah.
All right, good. I'll take that as confirmation.
Maybe. Cool.
Now my final, this isn't really a prediction, I guess, but my final just like thing I was thinking about when I was reading this, particularly this arc, I guess, and comparing it to the previous one, and also reading, is it Yukimura? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yukimura. When I was reading his like comments at the end of all of these books, or volumes, it feels like so far he's explored two aspects of 11th century life, which is the Vikings and war, and then like plowing the fields and farming, which I feel like were big parts of people's lives back then. So I do wonder what will be the next kind of thing that because I feel like that's something he wants to do, is kind of like talk about, like he mentioned this in a few of his like little comments at the end, where he just talks about, oh, I wonder what things were like back then, like how did a mother love his son when he sends her to war and all that. So I wonder if the only two things I can think of that were like big parts of people's lives back then were maybe sailing, like kind of what like Leaf was talking about early on, maybe have an arc focused on that more, or raising a family. Because I feel like that's something he's commented on in those notes, where he's like, oh, I wonder how people raised families back then, like younger kids. So those are my two things, which I'm like, I feel like you could have big arcs just focusing on those, because they were big like aspects of life back then. But yeah, that's my final prediction. Yeah, that one's wrong, right? Completely wrong, completely right. No comment.
No can tell.
All right,
no can tell.
But that's everything I've got. So we're done.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Nice short video.
So pacifism bad?
That's complicated, you know? Pacifism, I don't know. We'll see.
You'll see if you like it, because that's another thing that I think some people do fall off. They're like, it makes sense with Thorfinn, but like it feels like too unrealistic. I
think it'll depend. No. I don't care about I haven't dropped off or anything because of that. I just want to see how it goes. Like so far, if the story ended here, I've enjoyed it completely so far.
Yeah.
Like I've enjoyed this book as much as I've enjoyed like any of the previous books. So I'm very interested to see what happens next. Now it could maybe Thorfinn's approach to not having violence against people maybe will be a bit cartoonish and I won't like it and it'll be too unrealistic or something, but I guess we'll see. I don't know. He hasn't done anything bad yet.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it'll be interesting to see you, because we're just getting started on this arc, and yeah,
all right. Well,
so did you have a favorite chapter in this? Because you went through every single one.
I did. Let me scroll through. Maybe I can cut this.
And then,
out.
Also, could you say, you said you liked all the characters, but which ones do you like the most?
All right. Wait, you know what? Give me 1 minute. Let me just scroll through. All Okay, so my favorite, I think I got two favorite chapters. One of them is, because it's very different, is the second Canute chapter, where you do have that, like him threatening to burn Mercia down, and then having that narration at the end where it's kind of ominous. I really like that.
Yeah.
But in terms of
Nice.
like the main like farm stuff, I think my favorite one was the Iron Fist Ketil, like just that, just because I was so emotionally invested with the kids, and I didn't want them to get punished, and I wanted to get more about Ketil and him and who he is as a person. I really like that. Those, which is interesting because those two chapters don't focus on Thorfinn or his journey at all. But they stand out as like I really liked reading those.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Now in terms of characters, I don't know. I can tell you who I liked the least, which is probably Fox and Badger. I don't know. I just didn't find them very interesting. But other than them,
you don't like my man Fox?
No. I mean, we don't get that much of him, but I mean, it's just like I don't know.
Fox is so cool.
I feel like he's just a lesser,
I love their
designs.
Snake, you know. Yeah, true. I love their designs though. Like, I like just like how he does look like a fox. Like you'll see other people later on. And they'll be in for even a short amount of time, but they'll have like one name and be like, yeah, I understand that's why your name's Rat or Dog or it's not something like that.
Or Snake. Yeah. Snake. But yeah, I like them all. Like I like Ketil, Sverkel. They're good. Arnheid I'm interested in, like if we get more of a yeah, good stuff. But
sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No. I feel like things are just getting started, and I'm looking forward to hearing your next thoughts.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Thank you everyone for listening to this book 5, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.